What's up YouTube? I'm here to do my prediction video for UFC Fight Night Machida versus Romero. And for those of you who are wondering, if you didn't know, this card got like altered to hell because there was some weird visa issues for most of the Brazilian guys coming to Florida. I don't know exactly what happened, but like half of this card got obliterated. Like Eric Silva was supposed to fight Rick Story. This was supposed to be the Tough Brazil finale, and there was like 4 or 5 other fights that completely got canceled. So I think there's supposed to be like 13 or 14 fights on this card, and now there's 9. And I think half of these guys are either guys who have never fought in the UFC before or just fought like a couple of weeks ago. So if this card seems weak, it's because of that. It's because only like 4 or 5 of these fights were actually supposed to happen on this card. So there's only 9 fights. Let's start at the bottom. The first fight on the there's 4 fights on the prelim. So the first fight is Danny Martinez versus Sir Juan Kakrai. I'm gonna pick Sir Juan just because I think that both these guys are grapplers, but I think Sir Juan's a little bit more of a finisher. Danny Martinez is kind of just a brawler slash wrestler. I think as long as Sir Juan is just technical, he should be able to get either a submission or a decision win. Next is Tony Sims versus Stephen Montague, and this is the closest fight on the whole card. I think these guys are basically the same fighter. They pretty much, I think they're both like 8-2, 9-2. I'm gonna pick Tony Sims though. I think he's just a tiny bit better, but this like I said, this fight could really go either way. I've never seen either of these guys fight before, and I think they're like the superest late replacement on this card. I think they both only had like 3 days notice, so it's just really hard to pick this type of fight. But I'm gonna pick Tony Sims probably by TKO. Next is Luis Gonzalez versus Leandro Silva, and Leandro Silva to me isn't very good. He's just kind of this big bulky guy with decent jiu-jitsu. I think Luis Gonzalez is more well-rounded, and I think his conditioning's better, and I think the only reason he would lose this fight is because he didn't have enough time to prepare, and I think he only had like a week's notice, but I'm hoping that he's in good shape for this fight because I do think he's better than Leandro Silva, so I'm going to pick Luis Gonzalez by decision. Next is Alex Oliveira, the cowboy guy, who just fought KJ Noons like a week or 2 ago, versus Joe Merritt. I'll pick Alex Oliveira. I think he's still one of the better guys, and I think he didn't get hurt in that KJ Noons fight, so it's one of those things where him fighting this soon, I'm not too worried about it. I think he's probably in great shape. So I think he's probably going to win either by submission or TKO. On to the main card. First fight is Hakron Diaz versus Levon Makashvili. And I feel bad for Makashvili because he's just going to get taken down and controlled for 3 rounds. I know he took this fight on only a couple days' notice, and you want to do that against a guy like Hakron Diaz. Hakron Diaz is really good with his wrestling and his jiu-jitsu, and he's just not going to be able to stop him from taking him down. He might even get submitted, so it's cool for him to take this fight, but I just think he picked the wrong opponent to take a short notice fight like this. So I've got Diaz either by submission or decision. Next is Thiago Santos versus Steve Boss. And I know Steve Boss was originally a light heavyweight. Who knows how he's going to look at middleweight. I'm still going to pick Thiago Santos. I think he's just been the more proven middleweight. He's fought, multiple times in the UFC now and looked good every single time. Even the loss to Uriah Hall, I thought he looked pretty good. Steve Boss, I thought he retired at one point. I guess he's back and now at middleweight. So I'm going to pick Santos either by decision or TKO. Next is Antonio Carlos Jr., the winner of the Ultimate Fighter Brazil versus Eddie Gordon, the winner of the shittiest season of Ultimate Fighter. And they're just doing 2 Ultimate Fighters, but this is clearly a guy with a lot of talent and potential in Antonio Carlos Jr. versus a guy who's clearly a scrub in Eddie Gordon. I think Gordon might win the first round, maybe the first 2 rounds, but then come the 3rd round, Carlos Jr. is not going to be tired, and Eddie Gordon's going to be dying. And, as soon as Eddie Gordon starts to get tired is when Carlos Jr. is going to finish him. I think Eddie Gordon will be winning up until he's too tired to keep on doing the stuff he needs to do to win, like hold him down and wrestle. So I'll pick Carlos Jr. either by late 2nd round or early 3rd round, knockout or submission. Next is Santiago Pavonizio versus Lorenz Larkin. And Lorenz Larkin, he got that win over John Howard, but he still hasn't looked great in the UFC, as where Ponzinibbio's looked great in all of his fights. Even the loss to, I forget the guy that just fought Damian Maia. Even in that fight, he looked pretty good. And I'm going to pick Ponzinibbio. I think he's just more well-rounded. I think his striking may not be as good as Lorenz's, but I think his wrestling and his jiu-jitsu are both good enough where he won't get taken down, and he can fish for submissions to keep Lorenz off balance. I say he wins either by submission or decision. Last is Machida versus Romero, and this is the toughest fight aside from that undercard fight, but that's only because they're kind of scrubby. But I mean, I'm gonna pick Romero, but I think if this goes past the third round, Machida's probably gonna win by knockout. I think Romero is gonna probably win by knockout in the first 2 rounds, which is, in my opinion, the only way he's gonna win this fight, because I don't think he can go 5 rounds. I know Machida can go 5 rounds, and I think if this gets into like the fourth and fifth round, I think Machida's probably gonna win by KO. But my guess is Romero will probably get a finish probably sometime in the first, maybe the second. So I'll pick Romero by knockout or TKO first 2 rounds. And you guys, thanks for watching. Sorry this card kind of sucks, but you can't help it if there's visa issues. None of these guys got hurt. All the fights got rescheduled to different cards, if you didn't know. The Ultimate Fighter finale is going to be on like UFC 190 for this Brazil season. So look forward to that. I'm just saying, I'm glad that there's still a card, even though like half these guys on this card are super late notice replacements, like 1 week. Thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe.